AHS is back, and we're going back in time for a deep dive into the latest trailer. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really pumped for this season and its 80s/slasher vibes. Now, I've left a link to the trailer below, so if you haven't seen it, give it a look, then come on back. Now let's get into it. We start off with this exterior shot of a cabin at Camp Redwood, the main setting for Season 9. But as I'll get into later, this season, like previous seasons, will include flashbacks and time jumps. In this next shot of two women cuddling up together, notice the graininess of the film, almost like it's supposed to be shot in the style of a 70s or 80s slasher. Contrast that to this, where we're introduced to our main cast and the graininess is gone. If you've been watching the teasers FX has released over the last few months, they all include this type of graininess, and none of them feature the main cast. So the teasers were likely a means to show the original massacre, which we'll likely see more of via flashbacks throughout the season. As we'll find out later by a character named Rita,
this is the site of the worst summer massacre of all time.
This intro scene is depicting that massacre, a massacre at the hands of a character we'll come to know as Mr. Jingles. Cuddle time is cut short with his arrival. We get a better look at the inside of the cabin and several sleeping campers. Here's Mr. Jingles' keyring that jingle when he walks, hence his name. We've seen Mr. Jingles in the cast teaser video, here played by John Carroll Lynch, who in previous AHS seasons played John Wayne Gacy and Twisty the Clown. Notice the blood splatter on the sheets here, inferring that he's already killed a few campers, as well as his weapon of choice, a knife, although not quite a machete like Jason Voorhees. This poor remaining victim is the girl we saw in the first shot with the sunflower earring, and judging by this last shot, it doesn't look like she's made it out alive. I, however, wouldn't count it out that there will be a survivor of this original massacre, since it's a common horror trope to have someone from the past come back and retell the experience to our host of newcomers. And it looks like we'll get that in Leslie Grossman's character, who we see here. She's also seen in the cast teaser wearing a nightgown, and we'll later see her as some sort of head counselor when the gang arrives at camp. She is likely the lone survivor of this massacre who, for some reason or another, has decided to stay and work at the camp. Slashers are known for having surprise killers, so if I were to bet on anyone, it would be her. We get a shot of the new AHS 1984 logo, which is totally in line with the slasher theme. And speaking of newcomers, here we are in 1984 at an aerobics class with our favorite son of Satan leading the class. Currently, we only know two of the main cast's names, Emma Roberts, who plays Brooke, and Angelica Ross, who plays Rita. In class, we get a look at Billy Lord's rocker-esque character and this built-humping man, yet unnamed, but portrayed by actor Gus Kenworthy. Another shot of Emma Roberts, and I'm pretty sure this is going to get demonetized. But take a look at who she has her eyes on, our pal Gus over here, who makes sure to show a little skin. At the Perfect 10 aerobics class, Cody Fern tells the gang that he got a job at a summer camp that they're opening up a couple of hours from here, and suggests they all join him. We also get a shot of another one of the main characters over here, portrayed by Deron Horton. Notice also the LA 1984 poster in the background, which pretty much confirms that we are indeed in 1984. Here's where things get a little more complicated. We see this hand trying to open a screen door, and the next shot is at Brooke's LA home where she's sleeping soundly. This is followed by a man who I believe is not Mr. Jingles, cutting through the screen door with a curved knife. We know Mr. Jingles uses a straight knife. The intruder is about to kill Brooke until we cut. Pardon the pun. As we find out later on from Cody Fern's character, Brooke had a real-life experience with a slasher, so she likely survived this ordeal and will now have to relive this trauma and overcome it this season. My guess as to who her assailant is might be this guy from the cast teaser video. His long black hair and... oh yeah, it's probably him. Here we get an aerial shot of the gang in a van, the greenish van an homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And here we see Brooke hesitantly taking a flask of booze, leading me to believe her character will be closely in line with the virgin stereotype commonly attributed to scream queens in 80s slasher films. Now this may be me looking too hard into things, but the fact Billy Lord's character has her arm around Brooke and previously mentioned that it's about time there was more estrogen in the group leads me to believe she might be gay for Brooke. Since we know AHS isn't shy of representing LGBTQ characters. The van hits an unknown individual. Now they want us to believe it could be Mr. Jingles, but this shot here shows it's someone with longer hair in a beige top, and Mr. Jingles is bald. The van rushes to Camp Redwood, where they have taken the man they hit to see the camp nurse, Nurse Rita. They lie, saying they found him on the road, when they're interrupted by Coco St. Pierre Vanderbilt. Oh no, that's just Leslie Grossman's yet-to-be-named character, who seems to be some sort of head counselor or coordinator in charge of showing the new counselors around. Remember, we saw the younger version of her character in that opening scene. We're also introduced to Chef Birdie, who's been around the camp for years, so even though she says she has nothing but fond memories here, it's likely she'll have some horror stories to tell as well. Like these brief flashes of the girl we saw from the beginning being dragged away by Mr. Jingles. The counselors help take boxes of eggs, so on the right here we just get a glimpse of the cafeteria, where there will likely be a lot of scenes. And here's one of my favorite scenes from the teaser because it's an outright homage to John Carpenter's Halloween, with a patient from the local psychiatric hospital having escaped. Just like Michael Myers, Mr. Jingles has escaped and found a knife so he can continue his hunt. Around the campfire, they discuss what Cody calls a ghost story about Mr. Jingles, even though Rita claims that it actually happened. This is followed by a slew of quick shots which ramp up the action. We have Mr. Jingles crashing through a cabin window and hurling what appears to be a flaming brick with Billy Lord's reaction, but I think that was just placed in there by the editing. There's this shot of Brooke here where she seems frozen by the hook knife slasher. Now, I'm not sure if these shots are real or in Brooke's mind. As I stated earlier, I think she's going to be traumatized by her assault, but it remains to be seen whether it's in her head or if it will manifest somehow in real life. But my guess is that it could be a combination of both, as seen in this shot here of the hook knife man watching over another counselor heading into a cabin. Billy in the water here, and judging by her look, she is not alone. Now, her hair isn't wet here, which leads me to believe that she didn't run into the water to escape something, rather that something is following her while she is bathing. Quick shot here of a peeping Tom. You can kind of see the naked leg of what I think is a man here taking a shower. Now, there are only 3 main cast members that have been announced who have blue eyes. That's Cody Fern, Gus Kenworthy, and Matthew Morrison. And knowing that Gus's character is into women, we can probably narrow this down to Cody or Matthew here. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Here's a shot of Mr. Jingles clenching his fist next to his ring of keys. This is followed by a grainy shot of Jingles holding a tire iron about to hit a blindfolded man. The graininess suggesting this is a flashback from the original massacre. A terrified Rita here as what appears to be a tree log is thrown through one of the cabin windows. And I love this shot here of Brooke covered in dirt, shocked at what she's seeing. This is followed by Mr. Jingles looking like he's stumbling away. He's not even holding a weapon here, and I have a super odd feeling that Mr. Jingles isn't who we think he is. Here's Deron Horton's character also covered in dirt like Brooks's character, likely trying to make a getaway in that car there. But if we've learned anything from slasher films, the car wires have been cut or the battery's dead. Rita's here, asking for help, covered in blood. We know that probably won't turn out well, but my guess is the woman she's asking for help from is this woman. We see her briefly earlier on in the trailer, investigating the breakout at the psychiatric hospital. If I were to take a guess, Rita gets saved by her, only for both of them to get captured by Mr. Jingles, seen here in the background. Here we have Mr. Jingles banging on the camp door as Billy and another counselor we haven't been introduced to yet pull back what appears to be an injured Cody. And what slasher movie wouldn't have a creepy gas station attendant saying you're all going to die? This dude's name is probably Roy, as evidenced by the sign in the background, and also check out the license plate, Vanta C, like fantasy. I swear this better not all be a dream. The trailer ends there, but it leaves many unanswered questions. Chiefly among them, how are they going to fill an entire season about just one massacre? If you look at almost all the shots in the trailer, the cast are wearing these same exact clothes, leading me to believe that what we've seen so far takes place over one night. How is it possible over 10 episodes unless the season doesn't take place entirely at Camp Redwood? Perhaps Camp Redwood is only the beginning and it branches off further, or some of the survivors return years later. We know that AHS will frequently kill off characters only to bring back the actors and have them portray someone else. We also haven't seen any signs of Sarah Paulson, who has been confirmed as a guest role for this season, but not main cast. AHS seasons in the past have seen a slew of horrific killers, creatures, ghosts, and monsters, yet this trailer only has two, Mr. Jingles and the Hook Knife Man, both of whom are pretty generic slasher characters who we've seen before. AHS will really need to give us something new and fresh if they're going to keep us interested. Now I'm going to say this, but I could be totally wrong, but I also think that they may be faking us out, and Mr. Jingles might actually be a good character who was framed for the original Camp Redwood murders. If you go back to the teasers, we see the slasher character is not Mr. Jingles. He does wield a knife, but has a long strand of hair. That's a big disconnect I hope the show will address, assuming the teasers are connected to this season. That's it for this breakdown video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel with the bell on, as I'll be doing episode-to-episode rundowns and theory videos, just like I did last season. Give the video a like, let me know what you think about the new season, and feel free to follow me on Twitter @ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.